All right, everybody, so this video is going to use the Unreal Engine and how you can add your own player character into the third person point of view blueprint game type. So a couple of things we need to prepare before we dive into this. Just a quick overview on characters, and you can reference the PowerPoint on this a little bit, but really when you're pulling a character into Unreal, you've got several elements that you have to be aware of. Things that actually go on in the 3D modeling programs, such as Maya, Blender, 3ds Max, etc., are things like actually modeling the character, adding in clothing, also doing the materials, and we even go so far as to rig the characters as well. Things like the animation, though, and also actually creating interactivity where the player, you're pushing the W or the A or the S or the D key, that all actually comes into play in Unreal. So there's two things that we have to take into consideration here is actually getting the character in and then getting the character set up in Unreal. For this demo and for this class, we're going to be using the free assets from Paragon. Now, if you haven't gotten any of the player characters here, if you navigate in your Epic Games area here, and I'm going to come into the marketplace and I'm just going to search for Paragon. All right, so here's all of the Paragon elements here. And as you can see, I've already downloaded a lot of these. You'll probably, if you have not, you'll probably have something along the lines about like add to cart. All of these characters are free. They all come pre-rigged, ready to use. And I'll show you how you can use one of these here. So first thing you're going to want to do is select one of these, go ahead, download it, add it to your shopping cart. So then it'll actually appear in the library area here. Now, this is one of those elements whereby you are going to generate the project, then you are going to add the asset to the project. If you notice here with each of these characters, you have as far as adding to project, so on and so forth. So the next thing you're going to want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and scroll up. I'm going to go ahead and launch the Unreal Editor. So we have to create the project first. So it's going to take a second here. All right, so I'm going to go under Games. We're going to say Next. I'm going to choose that third person option. Tell it Next. And then I'm going to go ahead and call this third person demo. And we'll go ahead and generate the project here. All right, so here is your base project generated by Unreal. And the goal here is we are going to change this third person character, the default, to our new avatar. So before we can do that though, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hop back into my Epic Games. And we are going to go back over into our library. Once you've made this project, you should now see the project file popping up here. So I'm going to go ahead and search my vault, and I'm going to search for Paragon. Or I can scroll and search for Paragon. Now, a couple of things that are going to happen here. I'll actually choose a different character just to show you. I had been working, and a lot of the screenshots from the PowerPoint presentation came from Aurora. I want you to see what happens though as far as actually adding characters in. So I'll go ahead here. Let's pick, what's a character I haven't really done before? Let's see here. I will go ahead and pick Sparrow. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to add to project. So when you add to project, notice all of the current projects that are associated with Unreal will pop up. So I'm going to choose this third person demo, add to project. And what you're going to see here is it's going to begin the process of that download. Some things to point out. Notice that when you have added one of the Paragon avatars to your project, just like the other assets, you've now downloaded it, but notice now that you also, instead of it being that grayish color, your little arrow is now active. That all that lets you do is remove the local content. So if I go ahead and hop back over here right now, you can see if I go back to content, there is Paragon Sparrows. So it has to go through that first time of downloading it locally and then it'll add it to the project. So just be aware of that. But just to take you through real quick here, just a brief overview. Inside of each of the folders for the Paragon character, you're going to have things such as audio, FX, but more specifically, I just want to show you the character here. The character does come with a folder that contains its animations and its blueprints. It also comes with a test map, and here you can see all of the different materials, the skins, all those sorts of assets here. One thing I also talk about in the PowerPoint as well is whenever you are looking at your character here, there is also a general map here that does show you the actual models for the avatar. Again, this goes through all of the loading of the shading, so on and so forth. So with that now, the next step you are going to take is actually shifting over the third person character here. So having that character selected, I'm going to go under the details. And under the details here, you can see you have a lot of different options as far as the overall character goes. But really, for this demo and for the scope of this class, the big thing you'll want to interact with is right at the top here where it says animation and mesh. So for instance, right now I'm using the default skeleton mannequin. But if I click on the drop-down menu here, notice how I have all of the different options that appear here. So for instance, maybe I want to use Sparrow Rogue. So if I go in and I change that over, just a fair warning here, yes, the computer may hang a second. You are bringing in a pretty high-res model that does have a lot of material elements, cloth elements to it. So just go ahead. You might have to give it a second. Even with my machine here, you can see it's taken a minute. All right, so here you can see that now the character has been pulled in, and I'll go ahead here. I'm actually going to navigate. You can also see that right now it is working very hard as far as the shaders are concerned to compile all of the shaders. This is not the final step as far as creating the character. For instance, if I actually start playing the game, you see that there's the cloth, but as you can see, whenever I move the character around, she just stays in her T-pose. I'm going to highlight the character again here. The next step that we need to take is actually under the animation process. If you remember me talking earlier as far as bringing in the blueprint for the skeleton, the animation blueprint, we want to use an animation blueprint, but we actually want to come in here and you want to search. What you're going to be looking for is some type of animation blueprint that is associated with the avatar you pulled in. So in my case, because I pulled the Sparrow avatar in, I'm going to go ahead and select that blueprint. Now again, this is also going to take a moment as far as it hooks up to the avatar, but once you do that, your avatar really will be ready to go, just from a movement default standpoint. So here you can see how her pose has changed from her default T. So now if I go ahead and hit the play button, you see how she lands, she has her opener, and now if we run, you can see as far as she has the run movements, she also holds her bow out, and pretty much this is the same across just getting that basic shift from the skeleton mannequin over to some sort of paragon element here.